Welcome to the Weird and Wonderful channel, your home for folk horror, folk magic and folklore. I'm glad you could join me. There is a belief, older than Christianity and older than the stones that mark forgotten graves, that not all who smile are kind. That not all who dance in the moonlight come in peace. And that the fair folk, the good neighbours, the gentry, are anything but good. In today's episode, we're venturing into the unsettling realm of changelings and the dark side of the Fae, where enchanted beauty conceals ancient cruelty and the laughter of a child may not be what it seems. Let's begin. What is a changeling? The term changeling comes from the belief that fairies, or fae, would steal human babies and replace them with one of their own, or sometimes with a twisted imitation, a fairy child, an old fae in disguise, or a lump of enchanted wood shaped to look like the child but lacking its soul. These switches were often blamed when a child became ill, displayed unusual behaviour, or failed to thrive. In a world without medical understanding, the idea of a sinister fairy swap explained deformities, developmental delays, and sudden personality shifts. But this wasn't just superstition, it was a dark truth in the minds of many. In Celtic countries, especially Ireland, Scotland and Wales, changelings were feared as an ever-present threat. The Fae didn't take children out of cruelty alone. Some stories say they desired human beauty or the soul's warmth. Others believed fairies envied our capacity for love and longed to possess it. The idea of fairy abduction isn't limited to babies. Grown men and women were said to be taken into the fairy realm, sometimes for days, sometimes for decades, only to return with no memory or no time left at all. Some came back dazed and dreamy, speaking in riddles. Others were never seen again. In the quiet countryside of the British Isles, people spoke of fairy rings, circles of mushrooms that marked the passage between worlds. To step into one was to risk being whisked away into the hollow hills, the realm of the Shidi, where time flowed differently and mortals danced themselves to death. The Fae were not tiny Tinkerbells. They were powerful, alien, morally ambiguous creatures with laws of their own. To offend them, even by accident, was to invite misfortune. Why did they take children? Many folklorists believe that changeling stories served as a way for early communities to explain and grieve over what they didn't understand. But the mythology itself offers its own explanations, rooted in ancient belief systems and supernatural logic. Fairies, it was said, could not reproduce in the same way humans could. They required fresh bloodlines, vitality, and sometimes the essence of a soul. Human babies, unbaptized and still close to the veil, were seen as pure and potent. Another common tale claims the Fae feared death, and stealing a child was a way to escape their own aging or decay. By placing an elderly fairy in the cradle, they could avoid death temporarily, while the youthful child became one of them. But the cruelest interpretation is perhaps the most human, that the Fae simply did it for sport. Out of mischief, out of envy. So how could you tell if your child had been swapped? There were signs, dark, eerie signs. The baby no longer smiled or responded to touch. It cried incessantly or in unnatural tones. Its features became gaunt or oddly shaped. It suddenly displayed intelligence far beyond its years. Or it never grew at all. Some claimed changelings were always hungry, consuming food but never gaining weight. In one German tale, the child was caught playing a violin when it thought no one was looking. In these moments, the illusion slipped, and the horror of what was in the crib became clear. Tragically, many changeling stories led to real-world harm. Families, convinced that their child had been taken, resorted to horrifying cures. In Ireland, it was believed that fire could drive the Fae out. In some villages, babies were held near open flames. In extreme cases, they were abandoned, exposed to the elements, or worse. One of the most infamous stories is that of Bridget Cleary, an Irish woman in the 1890s believed by her husband to be a changeling. She was burned to death in a tragic act of superstition. When questioned, her husband insisted, "She's not my wife, she's a fairy." So strong was the belief that even murder could be justified. The Faes rules, and the danger of breaking them. In older folklore, fairies were bound by their own code, ancient laws, strange customs and taboos that governed their interactions with humans. To break these rules could bring misfortune or death. Never eat fairy food, it binds you to their world. Never say thank you, it's considered an insult. Never speak your real name in their presence, they might steal it. Never break a promise made to the Fae. These customs protected the balance between realms. But they also served as eerie warnings, rules born of real fear. Even today, some people leave offerings, milk, honey, bread, at thresholds and garden corners just in case. Just to be safe. Because no one wants to anger the gentry. The changeling myth endures not just because of folklore, but because it taps into something deeply human. The fear of losing what we love, or of waking up one day and realizing that something isn't right. A mother who looks into her baby's eyes and feels a flicker of doubt. A villager who sees someone they know acting strangely, forgetting things they shouldn't. That creeping dread that something has been taken and something else left in its place. Even now, stories of fairy abductions, time slips, and missing 411 phenomena echo these old beliefs. We give them new names, but the shadows are the same. So, next time you pass a ring of mushrooms in the forest, or hear laughter where no one should be, remember, the Fae are not just tricks of light and whimsy. They are older than we can imagine. They owe us nothing. And if they want something from you, you may never know it's gone until it's too late. Stay strange, stay safe, and don't forget to check your reflection. Until next time, this has been Weird and Wonderful. Like and subscribe to our channel for more content. And check out my books on Amazon. Be seeing you.